Today on Popek-Popek, we're asking you, when was the last time you had shark fin soup? Because when we kind of took a little poll, a very brief look around where we sit in the office at least, it's no longer much of a thing, especially at dinners. But with that said, a new report found that Malaysia is the world's second largest importer of shark fin, and that's coming from World Wildlife Trade Monitoring Network traffic.
So between the year 2000 to 2016, we imported an average of 2,556 metric tons a year. Hong Kong, they're top of the list. They imported an average of over 9,000 tons. China and Singapore comes in third and fourth place respectively with under 2,000 tons each.
And the news doesn't quite get better from that because we're also the 8th largest catcher of sharks and rays. And also Richard Thomas, who is the Traffic Global Communications Coordinator, told Malaysia Kini that we significantly increased the volume of our imports between 2003 to 2016.
And I suppose we're looking at issues surrounding the fin specifically, but we also haven't traditionally seemed that interested in protecting sharks. I mean, last month we were among 40 countries objecting to a proposal to protect 18 shark species by imposing rules for sustainable trade, and this would have come under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. Over 100 other countries voted in favour. But we do say, or reports do suggest, that we actually only have 2 out of those 18 species here in Malaysia anyway.
So I think this whole discussion is just interesting, right? Because there was a piece on SCMP as well that said that while shark fin consumption within Hong Kong itself is waning, and this report came from last year, they did say that Chinese communities overseas seem to be increasing in terms of the desire for having such shark fins. And it also is interesting, right, because it does sort of tie in with the growing economic wealth that some countries are seeing. For example, the likes of Vietnam and Indonesia, the middle class, as they are expanding, they are asking for more and more shark fins. So that's been an increasing desire. So we're not necessarily alone in seeing patterns develop when it comes to that taste.
So the growing demand for shark fin means that the enforcement of how to control finning has become more difficult. And in the report, it did suggest some recommendations of how to deal with the issues. For example, they want to improve real-time collection of data regarding finning and basically catching and trading shark meat and shark fins. And this supposedly will help in sort of monitoring the changes that happen when people basically kill these sharks. But because in Malaysia, we are famous for our lack of enforcement of the rules that we have. So I wonder whether implementing such measures will help ultimately. I'm not sure about that.
Well, one would hope, because of course that it's a deeply troubling issue, right? The fact that shark finning is really barbaric in many ways.
Yeah.
The idea that you would fin a shark and then just throw it back and leave it unable to swim or survive is a very tough idea. But also, I think for me, the biggest thing that surprises me about this is the fact that we're often accused of being in a bubble. I'm just going to say it, here on BFM, we are often told that we live in a bubble. And I think I might have been living in my personal shark fin bubble, which is to say that I was existing in my own little world in which nobody ate shark fin anymore, because I haven't actually attended a wedding or a celebration dinner with shark fin on the menu for a very long time. I grew up in the age of when the buying stops, the killing can too. And so I kind of thought that it was not a done deal. I didn't think that it was over as an issue, but I certainly thought that there was a big generational shift, that it was happening, that people are growing out of the idea that you need to have shark fin soup as a prestige symbol or, as something to mark or to cap a dinner. But this seems to say that that's not really the case. And so I'm wondering, I guess, who is still consuming shark fin, whether or not attitudes have actually shifted. So I'm having to reconsider a lot of my preconceived notions about where I thought we were in terms of eating shark fin.
Same, right? But, I think for me, because I have turned down multiple times my mom's invitations to her family friends' weddings, their children's weddings and all that. But and she is more traditional. So she has been in the past, been one that pressures you to sort of take shark fin soup? Because she said, well, it's disrespectful, right? That you are turning down that something that they have prepared for you to show an appreciation to you as a guest for coming to this wedding. So right now, it is still surprising to me because, I haven't had that exposure over the years. But you're right. It is strange to, see this sort of bubble appearing just from the context of shark fin.
From what I gather, right, the consumption of shark fin soup is related to a status symbol. Is that right?
Primarily because it's a very expensive. It's a very expensive ingredient. I suppose it's seen as exclusive because the same things that worry environmentalists and animal lovers, the lessening number of sharks, is the same thing that makes it, I guess, intriguing to others because it's like, ooh, so few sharks. We're having some of their fins. I don't admit to getting it, but it has always been seen as a prestige symbol in no small part because of the expense associated with the ingredient.
So if you replace it with a synthetic version of shark fin made from other materials, for example, would it take away from that allure or the prestigeness of it?
I suppose it does, but also I think people have gotten used to the idea.
Yeah, well, I want to say they have, but I don't think it matters that much when it comes to the shark fin, right? You still do want the original. You don't want the fake, so-called fake product.
I suppose if you prioritize it, then that would be the case. But, tell us, because like we said, bubble. This has been a clear bubble of shark finness that we live in. So do you still consume shark fin? When was the last time you saw it on a menu? Is it something that you still think is important to have on the dinner table? We're just trying to understand, I guess. You can call us at 7733-2900. You can WhatsApp 018-789-8899. Tweet us at BFM Radio. Now, earlier today, our interns here at the Evening Edition, Syamin and Mellina, went out and about to ask what people thought of shark fin. And there's a mix of opinions on whether or not our respondents would actually eat shark fin soup.
I used to eat shark fin soup, I would say. There's two ways to look at it. If I'm eating it, I'll be supporting it. If I don't eat it, it's a waste.
I've tried it once. Yeah, that was last time. Well, now that I know it's, bad for, the sharks, I don't completely stop, yeah.
No, actually not. Yeah, I'm happy to try, actually.
Of course, no. Of course, I say no. I'm an animal lover, actually.
I do take shark fin soup over the years, many years ago. But over the past 6-7 years, I haven't stopped taking it because I do know there is campaign saying that try not to take shark fin soup because it's chopping off the fin of a shark and then throw it back to the sea, which is very cruel, you see.
So that's just a little sampling, a little bit of picking from people to do with the issue of shark fin, whether we would eat it or not. Again, we do want to hear from you. You can call 7733-2900, WhatsApp 018-789-8899, tweet us at BFM Radio because we are, we are second. That's right. We are the second largest importer of shark fins. So we're, I suppose, just surprised by this and trying to understand that. And in that spirit, we're going to be speaking after this with Dr. Muhammad Noor Amal bin Azmai, who is the Associate Professor at the Faculty of Science at UPM, University Putra Malaysia. That's coming your way after this. It's the Evening Edition, BFM 89.9.
Best flipping moments. BFM 89.9. The business station.
Lynn, Kelvin and Aiman, we're talking today about shark fin or shark fin soup in some ways because Malaysia is the world's second largest importer of shark fin, according to a report from World Wildlife Trade Monitoring Network Traffic. We're second to Hong Kong. And so for, I guess, people who thought that we were a little bit past this, that in general desire for shark fin was on the wane, we're just a bit surprised by that. And we would like to hear from you. Again, you can call 7733-2900, WhatsApp 018-789-8899, and tweet us at BFM Radio.
Now, to better understand the shark fin industry in the country, we're crossing over to Dr. Muhammad Noor Amal bin Azmai, Associate Professor at the Faculty of Science at University Putra Malaysia, where his research focuses on fisheries. Dr. Amal, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Yeah. Yes, welcome.
So Malaysia doesn't officially practice shark finning, but it's been found to be going on, especially in Sabah, for example. Could you help clarify the status of the practice in Malaysia?
Yes, actually, officially, we say that we not catch the shark, for consumption and everything. That's officially. But in reality, sometimes, actually, from my observation, some of the sharks catch, actually by catch, they want to catch other the fish but at the same time they also catch the sharks, okay? And sometimes also they purposely to catch the sharks. Okay, that's a problem. Why they catch? Because of the purposely, because they have demand actually. Even you see in Klang Valley also, I give you an example, Pasar Borong, let's say Sri Kembangan. When I went there, I can see they still sell shark there. When I asked them, they said this is by cash and not purposely. But like I said, our government said unofficially we not catch the shark, but actually we the fishermen still catch it.
And, we have received questions from our listeners, both Captain Ariva as well as John, asking a similar question, which is it okay to eat the whole shark if we don't just fin them? If not, then why is there this double standard for other fish?
For me, for that question, why we need to eat sharks? We have a lot, thousands of another fish species. Sharks, some of them they are endangered, critically endangered. Some of them they're vulnerable. We have another option. We have another choice. Let the sharks, the ray live in water. We have another species. I think that's not good way for us to eat sharks. Anyway, we have a lot of another fish species. That's, I think, not unethical for us to eat sharks anyway.
And how much value does shark finning bring into the country at the moment?
Okay, currently, based on the international reports, between 2000 to 2011, Malaysia recorded the annual shark fin import of about 1,100 tons, worth about 14 million ringgit Malaysia, and average annual shark fin export about 238 tons, worth approximately about 3.9 million. That's actually a lot of industry for them. That's why they get a lot of money from that.
And how much value does shark finning bring, I guess, for the local fishermen, right? Then I'm just trying to understand what is the appeal for them to catch sharks.
Okay, like I said before, sometimes they buy cash. Sometimes some of them they purposely to cash. Yes, because they have demands. When we have demand, when still people want to try or want to eat sharks. So when they still have demand, so the fishermen, when they still want to catch the shark, because we, the Malaysian, I can say that, like to eat shark fin soup.
And with that said, would you think that banning shark fin here in Malaysia, banning the industry, banning the practice, would it be a feasible option, or would we struggle with enforcing that?
Yes, I think we should ban for the shark fishing industry. Okay, why we fishing for the sharks? Because that's our culture. Some of the people they like to eat the shark fin soup. Some they say because for their health. We have a lot of other fish, which is not endangered or critically endangered for us in terms of our culture. If you want to say another fish also have a health advantage also. So we need to protect and conserve them actually.
And is banning shark fin in Malaysia, because we recently there was that Convention on the International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna, where they wanted to propose the protection of several species of sharks and rays, and Malaysia was among 40 countries that voted against the proposal. Can you tell us a bit about the rationale behind that? Why did we oppose it?
I'm not sure why Malaysia opposed that, but for me, as environmentalist, I think we should ban. We should ban all the shark finning, not only for the selected, but more of the sharks and ray species. Like I said before, we have a lot of another fish species for us to eat for our daily consumption. A lot of sharks and ray now they are endangered, critically endangered. When we conserve them, we can also have a lot of money from that banning the shark industry. For our future, for our kids, for our ecotourism, for our diving industry, very large industry. For the sharks and rain in our country also, actually it's our national treasure.
Dr. Amal, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That was Dr. Muhammad Noor Amal bin Azmai, who is the Associate Professor at the Faculty of Science at UPM. And he was explaining to us, I think, a glimpse into the local industry surrounding fishing for sharks, as well as shark finning in general. And that's because we are the second largest importer of shark fin, according to a new report. And so,
unfortunately.
Yeah. And so I guess we just wanted to know what was driving that. I mean, obviously the answer is demand. And to that we say, kind of surprised that there's still demand. So we would like to hear from you. I mean, when was the last time you had shark fin? Have you observed that there's been a bit of a dip in terms of it showing up on menus and things like that? You can call us and tell us, 7733 2900. You can WhatsApp 018-789-8899 and tweet us at BFM Radio. And I think for what it's worth, the point about eating the entire shark is also that I think broadly speaking, the issue with doing that is that sharks are apex predators, and that has cascading effects on coral, because what they found in some studies is that when you have an underpopulation of sharks, then the carnivorous fish start to thrive, and then they eat up all the other fishes who would traditionally have cleaned up the coral, and then the coral starts to die. And so you end up having that cascading effect. And like the good professor said, if you have other options, go for other options.
Well, that's not the only thing, right? And actually, while we might be the top two importers of shark fin, there are other countries like in Europe and South America, for example. They are the largest retail markets for shark meat, and that is still a problem, right? Given the fact that sharks don't reproduce as often as or as quickly as other fishes, though of course this isn't including into the picture that overfishing does happen with every single fish population here in the world.
And CT sent us a WhatsApp saying, I have stopped taking shark fin for more than 15 years. Even at my wedding dinner, I insisted no shark fin and placed notices on the menu stating that this is a shark fin friendly dinner.
Yeah, I've actually seen those a lot, and it always warms the cockles of my heart to see that up. Although, again, I agree that this is something that it's a generational shift, I feel, because I do know of people who continue to be very ethical people in many, many parts of their lives. But when it comes to having a nice dinner, somehow or other, it's like, it's okay lah. It's probably fake. It doesn't matter. And then that's a very hard thing to try to negotiate. Whereas just saying no shark fin seems to me an easier line than hoping that it's fake.
The negotiation power is weakened though, however, if it's your parents that are paying for the wedding, where they might want to have shark fin soup instead of, say, replacements or even just crab meat soup, for example.
And like all their friends are there, so you have to like jaga muka a bit kind of thing, is it?
Life Fizel says, not a bubble. I'd say that perhaps listeners are more evolved versus folks from, say, our parents' generations, and then hopefully our next generation will continue to evolve even more. I've recently culled several older relatives, not for eating shark fin, but turning into a bunch of racists. Hopefully I'm not living in that bubble either.
Well, if it adds value and like gives your life some amount of peace, I say go for it.
And we also have this message here from Norm.
Which country are the major exporter of shark fins where Malaysia buys from?
So I don't know whether these are the ones that Malaysia specifically is buying from, but the world's major shark fin exporting producers are Spain, Indonesia, Taiwan, and Japan. So I'm guessing from that four, probably one or more of them would be where we get the bulk of our shark fin.
So I think that another interesting stat is the fact that, given the size of China and how big it is, it's surprising that they are not among the top 5. And one reason might be the fact that Hong Kong actually is the one that is importing all those shark fins, and then they are re-exported to China. So maybe they're just, it's a game of like how they are choosing to present the numbers.
Well, for example, we have this message from Paul who says, Malaysia perhaps import to trade, not consume.
Yeah, that might be a fair point.
Yeah,
also.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's perfectly possible. And then we also have SC Koo saying, 18 years ago, my wedding reception, I didn't serve shark fin, had a flyer on each table telling the guest about the cruelty of the act of harvesting, got into problems with lots of relatives and in-laws. Doing the right thing is not popular.
Well, props to you for doing the right thing, even though it wasn't a popular move. And I don't know, maybe people should do that in their weddings moving forward.
I actually really love that the flyer actually talks about the cruelty of it. I think that's an extra step that I'm really into. And then we have Manlun who says, as long as the baby boomer generation, so again, this generational issue is still around, especially the Chinese, they are the primary consumers as face value is important.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, right, yeah, Aiman, it is true. The face value is so important because you don't want to look like you are underappreciating your guests or you're not loving them enough during the dinner, because it is during prestige events, right? It's during wedding dinners, it's during banquets.
But to clear up and just to finish up on this idea of the bubble, Michael says, haven't had shark's fin in a wedding in KL or PJ in years, but have been to some outside Klang Valley that still serve it. At one wedding that didn't have it, heard someone complain that there was no shark's fin. Awareness just hasn't spread outside of KL and PJ yet. So today we are popek-popeking about shark's fin. Let us know what you think. Let us know whether you've had it recently. Is it something that's going away? At BFM Radio.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To find more great interviews, go to bfm.my, BFM 89.9, the business station.